What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Live to Race channel. Gonna go over port and cylinder heads today. I know the video title description is about porting LS cylinder heads. It is gonna be, but first I need to show you a little something about small block cylinder heads. So don't get off the channel just yet, or the video. I think I need to show you some stuff that you'll probably read in magazines, and you kind of need to know to port these LS cylinder heads that apply to it, but also some differences. So first thing we'll do is take a look at the Chevrolet small block cylinder head and kind of look at how you port those. And some things they'll be the same, some won't. So let me see if I can get some light here. Now, one thing we need to look at with this is the magazines and articles you'll read on the internet will probably all refer mostly to porting cylinder heads like small block Chevrolet, small block Ford, even your big block stuff, but the older stuff and the newer stuff for that matter, it always says concentrate in the bowl area. Well, the thing is the bowls were usually horrible on this older stuff. So this is a 305 small block Chevrolet head, and it'll be pretty easy to see, I think, if I can point out here. I always talk about doing a bowl work and doing a bowl blend. So as you see, there's this big ridge here, and I hope this shows up with the phone because the GoPro is having or has horrible sound issues that I'm trying to figure out how to remedy, but way too much handling noise with it. There's a pretty big ridge right here that restricts airflow. So you take and you grind all this down, and I think you can see right there going back into the port. See if I can get this focused. Going back into the port, it's not very straight. Huge difference here as far as how straight it is. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but maybe you can see how much that rides up or falls back going through there. So you want to grind all that smooth. I've actually practiced on this head some, so that's one thing. If you want to start porting heads, getting something to practice on isn't a bad idea. So as you can see, a lot of glare there. Let's see if I can turn it off and if you can still see it. Or actually, I'll show what I can with this and I'll turn it off. But I smooth all that out. Okay. And of course, work the valve guide down some. Brings in, better flow. See if we can turn that off, get you a better view. Okay. So I don't know if we'll be able to see the exhaust. No. Okay. Let me flip this head over and we'll take a look at the exhaust side. Or actually, let's do the intake runners first. Okay, so I got this head flipped over, and maybe, I don't know if you can see that very well, but as you can see, with a small block Chevrolet head, the intake port curves. Because they're right next to each other. Now, you have push rods that's just on the other side of these walls, so you really can't take out much. You can try to take out a little bit here to make them bigger. Of course, you can square up the ports a little bit better, will help. Okay, hang with me, we're gonna get to the LS stuff here pretty quick. Okay, we got the LS head on the bench. This is 317 casting. I know 243 seems to be the ones that everybody wants, but these are basically the same head. The only difference is these have larger combustion chambers, so you'll lose a little bit of compression with these. They did come on a 6.0 standard, so good head for horsepower. I believe they're 210 or 215 cc intake runners. Guess I should have looked that up before I started the video. But so looking from the intake runners here, first thing you notice, they're pretty much a straight shot. There is a little curving around the push rod here, but not nearly as drastic as the small block Chevrolet head. Now, the biggest thing you're gonna want to do porting these heads, in my opinion, it's gonna give you the best bang for the buck right here. Let's see, I don't know if I light the port up, if it's gonna look, it's gonna give us too much glare. Maybe that'll work right there. So this right here, is where your rocker bolt goes. So it bolts down through there, but it's not all in here. This is just a huge lump. Some people call this the rocker stud lump. I guess it's more of a rocker stud slash bolt boss. But take this down, and I'll be showing this in future videos as I'm porting these heads. Take this down and make this more of a direct shot to the intake valve. Okay, so when you do that, then your air and fuel doesn't have to curve around this, and obviously it's going to increase flow. So these heads are pretty good out of the factory. They flow about, depending on what information you look at, 240 to 250 CFM at about 600 lift, right factory. Okay, a valve job can pick those numbers up. You know, I plan to have a 5-angle valve job done on these. You know, I expect to gain probably at least 15 CFM just off the valve job, maybe more, you know, just depending on how much work they do to it. So let me move this head around. We'll take a look at the bowl area and show you a lot of difference between it and the small block Chevrolet head. Okay, got the head flipped around here. If you look down in here, I don't know how much I need to illuminate this port. Seems like it's either not enough light or too much. Maybe that'll be about right there. So, of course the light moves. Okay. One thing you'll notice is all that ridge behind the valve seat isn't there. So if you just looked at magazines and articles online and they're porting the more old school heads, the small block Chevrolet, the small block Ford, big block, whatever, you know, they're going to talk about taking that ridge out, and you're going to get in here and it's not going to be there. Now, this one's kind of over saturated with light. Right here, there is just a little bit that you can work out. And one thing that these LS heads have is this swirl ramp here. Now, a lot of people just take this completely out, and there's a couple things with doing that. One thing I read that there is a water jacket in that vicinity that you can punch into. Okay, so that's something bad that you don't want to do for sure. And then another thing is, if you look at professional head porters, a lot of times they put a swirl ramp in. Now, it's not in that area. That one's kind of bulky, and I'll work it down some. The professionals seem to put the swirl ramp right in here to dump fuel and air up this way. So that's something that you can think about there. I'm gonna try to work this down and bring it back over this way and make it a little more smoother transition instead of bam and up so much. And of course, try to work this guide down a little bit. But one thing that you need to keep in mind when you're porting, a lot of times less is more, okay? You can hog these ports out, and I've seen where there's one guy on YouTube, he took a set of heads, and I think after he CC'd them, the intake runners was like 230 or 235, you know. He probably lost huge amounts of velocity by doing that. So that's one thing. It's not all how big the port is. It's got to flow fast too. So we're wanting to make little changes, little manipulations to these ports to help them out a little bit. Like I said, this valve job is going to pick up some, taking that rocker stud boss lump, or what you want to call it, taking it down, and I'll show you it'll actually open up just a little bit of a hole, and you'll have to put a little sealant on the bolts to keep from burning a little oil. But it'll open up a little hole. It won't hurt it. Some people really open up a large hole. I don't think it's necessary. So that'll be in the next video, though. I'll show you that. But let's take a look at the exhaust ports and see what the plan for that is. I'll go ahead and show you right here. We can see. Way I don't have to flip this back over. There's a little bit to work down right there, and you can always work this guide down some, but we'll talk about some important things with this exhaust port, and I'll touch on real quick. You'll see a lot of people before I flip this head. They'll work this combustion chamber a lot, and I'm not really worried about doing that, because if you start removing a lot of material, you know, for the what you pick up, I don't feel like it's worth it. The amount of time you spend, and then you end up losing compression. So for us that's doing DIY, you know, I just don't see a lot of benefit in it. So let me flip it over, we'll take a look at the exhaust ports, and we'll wrap the video up. Okay, here we go. I'll wrap the video up after this. Sorry. As you can see, right around through here, it's basically where the exhaust manifold was sitting. Now, I got off there, sorry. Now, one important thing, I've got this head upside down, so this is the roof, this is the floor. You don't want to pour it on this floor. Alright, I've seen this one guy on YouTube. One thing, he's just sawing away at his heads. He's supposed to be an expert. There's chips flying everywhere. And he's in what seems to be quite a big hurry. And you know, he does like all the exhaust ports on the head within a matter of one video. But then he goes and he starts cutting on the exhaust floor, and it's like people are asking him about when they can send their heads and all kinds of stuff. But all that does is hurt flow. So you got to be careful about all the information you take in and make sure it's good information. So there is a little bit of a lump that runs out in these heads. That's kind of a reinforcement for your springs. Everything I've seen, so it's probably best not to take it out on these LS heads, because you can bust through possibly with some higher spring pressures, and it really doesn't help flow a lot. So what you want to do is, of course, work on the guide. And you can raise this up a good bit, but also work on your sides. That's the way you're going to get more volume in this exhaust port and help get the gas out. You know, hot air rises, it's going to follow, it's going to come in, it's going to follow up through here. Right here is where your better flow is going to be gained. Don't touch the floor. If you start messing with these short sides, okay, the short side radius, the short side turn, there's a lot of different terms for it. If you get that wrong, you're gonna mess up the flow on the head. So none of what I've showed you will touch that. One thing you need to consider is if you take a intake gasket and you scribe where you want to go, and even if you don't touch this, you can get this port too big. Okay, there's going to be gaskets that's going to be a lot bigger than the tubes that you bolt up to it, and if the tubes are occluding the port, that's just going to be air running into a wall. So keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm going to get started on these heads. I'm going to show you the progress, show you what I'm doing, and hopefully I'll help you out. If you like the content that I'm starting to put out, I'm just getting this channel fired up. You know, I hope to help some people out. I hope to provide a little bit of entertainment, well, maybe with some drag racing and seeing my projects. And you know, I'm working on becoming a better presence, personality on camera. So, you know, it's the first time I've ever really videoed myself. So bear with me. Should get nothing but better over time. So if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, comment, like, share, you know, all that good stuff that everybody says to do on YouTube. And check back in and see where we go with the progress on these heads. Hope y'all have a good day.